everyone. This is Mark from the Product Review Geeks, along with my wife Sherry, my grandson John, and my granddaughter Abby. We make up the Product Review Geeks. We review products, we give you a yay or a nay on them. Today, we're going to be reviewing Blue Compass RV in Lebanon, Tennessee. We have recently sold our motorhome. It was a 36-foot motorhome. We'd had it for a while. And we wanted to get something a little smaller, so we got us a Yukon a little while ago. And we wanted to get something that we could pull with the Yukon XL. You know, it wasn't really big. I think the weight limit on it is about 6,500 pounds or something. So we was looking for something right at, about 6,000 pounds, maybe a little bit under 5,500, somewhere around there. So we started looking. I've seen a couple of them online. We went and looked at them, but most of them was just ugly ducklings. I mean, it was awful. So one day we went and looked at one over Lebanon, I believe it was, and on our way over there, we swung through Blue Compass RV Center over there in Lebanon. They're right off the highway. So we went around, we looked around there. The guy showed us a few RVs. He showed us some used ones. He said, well, I can get you anything you really need. So, we looked around a little bit, but I didn't really see anything really that tripped my trigger. And my wife, she's specific about what kind of camper she wants. So we went on our merry way. So a couple of days later, we was back over that area. So we decided to check them out again. So we went in there. And the guy in there said, well, how much you wanting to spend? I said, well, I don't know, a couple, $250 a month maybe, no more than that. Oh, well, we can fix you right up. So he tries to put me in this brand new one out there. It was, like $35,000, and our payments would have been a lot more than $250. I'll tell you, well, they kept saying, well, if your credit like that, I said, well, I got good credit, so I shouldn't have any trouble, really. But I'm thinking, $35,000, even if I put $1,000 down or something, I'm still financing quite a bit of money. That's going to be at least $400 or $500 a month. I could guarantee you that. No, no, no. I said, all right. So we gave him a deposit on the camper. So we went home. And my wife said, that's really not the one for me. I said, okay, well, then I guess maybe we'll just go back tomorrow and tell him, we don't want that one. So we went back the next day and we told him we didn't want that particular camper. Well, I got another one here. So he tries putting this in his other one, and I said, this one here is too heavy. It weighs 7,000 pounds. I said, my Yukon, it probably could pull it, but I don't want to pull that much weight with it. I want to keep it under 6,000 pounds. So he said, all right, well, we got this one here because they'd already had my $500 deposits, and they didn't want to give it up. They wanted to sell me something. So he said, here, let's look at this one here. So we looked at that one, and I said, well, I don't know. Let us think about it. So we drove into Nashville, just down the road a little bit, and we looked at some other RVs around there, and some were pretty similarly priced, but they was trying to put us in, again, they was trying to put us in one that was too heavy. So we went back there and we told them, well, no, we're not really interested in it. Let us sit on it, and if we find something else, we'll come back and get our deposit back. They said, well, okay. So we went home, and I opened up my computer and I looked online, and I typed in what I wanted, and I found the exact camper that we wanted. My wife wanted something that had bunks, and it had a master bedroom and a slide out. So we found one on their website, but it was in their Bowling Green lot, not down in the Nashville one. So I called them up and I told them about it. Oh, okay. So I went back there the next day, and they just hawed around. Well, we don't really want to sell you a used one because there's trouble with it. I said, there's trouble with everything. Blah, blah, blah. I said, that's the one I want. I said, if I don't get it, I'm taking my money back and I'll go up to their lot and buy it. Oh, okay. So, they said, well, give us a few days, we'll get everything together and like that. So they took some of my information and they did a credit check on me, and they said, yeah, well, yeah, we can get you financed, no problem. I knew they could anyways. So the next day they called and said, we'll set up an appointment. 28th. It was on a Wednesday. It was yesterday, actually. So we went over there, and they had the camper outside there. So I went outside and I looked at it and I walked around it, and yeah, I could see a water leak. I could see, several things that was wrong with it. I said, I thought you guys checked this out. Yeah, we did. I said, well, you must have had one eye closed and the other one was looking somewhere else because there's a lot of things in here. I mean, behind the seat cushions, the wall was all peeling off. They got Velcro on the wall. It was all peeling off. And I mean, they just had the main water tank was leaking water. And they had a lot of, just little odds and ends things. And the plug-in wire that goes into the back of my Yukon would plug in there for the turn signals and like that. It was all, I mean, they had it all taped up. It looked like crap, and one of the lights in the back didn't work, so they ended up fixing everything, but they really didn't want to. So while they was working on it, they shuffled us inside to do some paperwork to close the deal. Let me tell you, these people are something else really, because they was going down through all this stuff, and they said, well, we'll give you 1 year of this, some whatever it was, I don't know, some kind of a package for 1 year. It's got all this extra stuff, and then they tried to sell me on this extended warranty deal, like them car warranty deal guys or the house deal. Well, they tried to sell me something like that. So they give me a price. It was like another $75 a month, and I said, no, I don't want that. All right, well, let me do this. So the lady, she did the figures and everything again. She came up with another price. It was about $20 less, and then finally the last one was about $30 less. I think it was almost $50 for the last one. I said, no, I don't want that. Oh, well, and then she started getting really irate with me and everything. And so she went and got the manager. He came in. Oh, you got to have this. They tried to scare tactics on me, but they had no idea that I was a car salesman years ago, and I know all the tricks to try to get you to buy something. I told her I don't want it. I said, and if you keep badgering me about it, I'm just going to take my money and go somewhere else. So, excuse me. So finally, they said okay. So, the lady was really mad. You could tell she was irate about it. So they finally, I flat out, I said, let's just do the paperwork. I don't, my payments were a couple $100 a month, and I wanted that. I didn't want it $300 a month or whatever. So we ended up having to spend like 4 hours there, because they didn't have everything prepped like they should have. They should have went through the camper. This is the camper, by the way. I'm doing the video on this camper. They didn't have the camper prepped. They really didn't check anything out. I mean, I'm finding little things here and there that they missed. I mean, anybody that was looking for stuff, they just didn't want to spend no money on this thing. They just wanted to take it like that. They didn't want to do any extra work for the customer. I mean, and I knew they made that clear. Just by the way they talked to you, they didn't really want to help. They weren't very helpful at all. I'm the one that found the camper that I wanted on their website. So just to let you know, this place, Lou Compass RV, at least the Lebanon store, they've got a few other stores around here. I think they got one in Bowling Green. I think Chattanooga and Knoxville, I believe they have one. But anyways, I'm going to give them a 2-star. They did get this financing, but it took them forever to do anything. And they was blaming things on everybody else except for themselves. I mean, own up to, if you're making a mistake, own up to it. Don't just try to blame somebody else for it. This going wrong and that one. And they I'm new and like that. But I'll tell you what, you wasn't new at trying to push in that warranty down my throat, that insurance there that I didn't want. The scare tactics you got to watch. I mean, they try to get you to buy stuff that you don't really need. You don't need an extended warranty. Especially if you're a handy person, you don't need one. I mean, if you're not really handy, negotiate with them. They'll negotiate. Don't be afraid to negotiate, because if you don't, it's just going to cost you money. Just don't give in to it. My wife was going to give in. I said, no, I don't want it. You got to stand your ground. Well, this is Mark from the Product Review Geeks. Thanks, everyone, for watching, and I hope you have a blessed day. If you're going to buy an RV, I do suggest you go to an RV lot, but look around and get the feel for the salesman because most of the salesmen that I met and the few lots that we went with they're really pushy and like that. You can't do business like I never did business like that when I was a car salesman. I sold a lot of cars. So this is Mark from the Product Review Geeks. Don't forget to get your heart checked too. Make sure stay healthy, please. Eat right, exercise, and we'll see you again in our next video. Thank you, everyone, and I hope you got a lot out of this video about Blue Compass RV.